All right. Good evening, everyone. Peace and blessings, and welcome back to the STEM Files, where we serve as the voice of STEM talent and Black culture. On tonight's episode, it's not really the STEM Files, it's really nuclear reactions. Nuclear reactions is a concept that we started to react to some of the most scientific, controversial topics in pop culture, right? And there's a topic right now going around on social media with Ocho versus science. Chad Ochocinco, decorated football player, has made it very clear that nutrition does not play a valuable role in athlete performance. We're going to be reacting to some of his content. And we have special guests with us, Dr. Akili Muhammad. He is a 5-time STEM Files guest, and we look forward to building with him on this episode. Stay tuned, family, for more after this.
You believe in these false prophets, I say I bet he lying. No football, New York City Giants. Girl dad, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. When we teaching our babies, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. When we teaching our women, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science.
All right. And as our opening intro always states, we teach men, women, and children heavy science. I am Akili Muhammad, aka Tariq Cardiac. I'm a biomedical research scientist with a concentration in the background in cardiovascular pathobiology, which is the study of how diseases form in the heart and blood vessels. I'm always joined by my amazing team, a team that I have grown to love over the past couple of months because we added Sister Dr. Joy onto the team, so now it's 3 of us. But I'm going to stop talking, let my team go ahead and introduce themselves.
Yes, sir. Praise to Allah. Peace, love, and blessings, everyone. Assalamu alaikum, Jabril Muhammad, a.k.a. Brilliant Engineer, your friendly neighborhood traveling engineer. I'm a civilian mechanical engineer with a focus on neighborhood fluid systems in the background in material science and engineering. Study the various material classes and how they can be used for different applications. I'm excited to be here, excited to get into it.
Praise be to Allah. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Sister Dr. Joy 2X, aka the Chi Mechanic. I've been studying and practicing traditional Chinese medicine for ongoing 12 years. And in traditional Chinese medicine, we understand that the body innately knows and desires how to heal itself. So the medicine that I offer is here to assist you in that journey, like a mechanic for your vital energy.
Is it my turn?
You on mute, bro.
My bad. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. You got it.
And I don't even feel right. I don't even feel right saying something about myself. I ain't even got a doggone nickname, man. What's the
deal? Come on, Doctor.
But I'm just your regular plain old brother Akili, brother Dr. Akili, family medicine physician trained in the traditional ways that American physicians are trained. But everything changed when I read How to Eat to Live after 7 years of practice and becoming disenfranchised with throwing pills out and sending to another specialist or sending to this test or that test or this imaging study, that imaging study. That became very old to me very quickly. But How to Eat to Live put all of the fulfillment, all of the energy, all of the life back into the practice of medicine. And to date, I've seen many people heal many conditions based on what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us and How to Eat to Live. So that's kind of the undergird. I may tell a few stories as we get into the Ocho today.
Got you. And family, let me start off by saying this. This reaction is not an attack on our brother.
That's right.
It's not something that we're going to be using to make fun of him or try to poke fun at or poke holes in whatever he's thinking about. But this is an opportunity for us to clear up a few things as it relates to what nutrition is, how it works, first and foremost. And then, of course, trying to understand where our brother's coming from when it comes to an athlete's nutrition and his performance on the field. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Let's go ahead and play the first couple of minutes of the video, and then we'll get some thoughts.
Calais Campbell says he spends between 200 and 300,000 on his body after studying Brady and LeBron. I know you played against Calais. Big guy out of Denver, Colorado, wanted to be a tight end. I've talked to Calais and said, you know what, man, I want to be like you, but I kind of grew out of the position and I couldn't catch the ball like you could. If you knew what you know now, how would it have changed your career, or would you have done anything as far as training, as far as nutritional? What would you have done different, knowing what you know now?
Knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have done a thing different. I respect individuals like LeBron and Tom Brady and the way they've taken care of their bodies and having to do some of the things that come with it. Calais Campbell spending $200,000-$300,000. Obviously, he's a bigger individual than I am, and therefore the wear and tear on his body might be a little different than it was for me. If I had to do it again, my diet and nutrition wouldn't change. The same thing I ate when I was in high school and through college, I ate it while I was in the NFL. The way I train, you already know. Still to this day, I'm a madman. I got to be doing something. I got to be moving. I got to be doing something. And I played a very long time. I had no injuries. So when Marvin Lewis appointed a nutritionist to our team, there was no reason for me to break what I was already doing, because there was nothing wrong with it. There was nothing to fix. And I think I was very fortunate. I might be one of the most fortunate NFL players to ever play an entire career and having no injuries outside of a dislocated pinky, you know.
All right, so we got we about a minute.
I'm sorry. I love Ocho, bro.
So what are y'all thoughts so far? Like what's coming to mind so far, family?
I just got one comment. I just got one quick comment, and I'm gonna let the doctor speak. I think bro really summed up what happened during his career in his last comment when he said, "I was very fortunate." That's all it was. You were very fortunate to get through your career and have no injuries. That is, you played the game of numbers. It's a big probability thing, and you won against the odds. That's what I feel. You know, we're talking about. But let's get into it. Dr. Akili, you got anything?
Well, you know, I have some knowledge from a superior source that, of course, I always use when I come and speak, because I don't ever want anybody to think that I'm arrogant enough to think that I'm smart enough.
That's right.
To say the things that I say. I'm smart enough to say the things that I say only because I've been fortunate enough, like Ocho, to have the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Master Fard Muhammad, and Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan affect my life. Right. So as he was talking, a new scripture came to my mind, and it was this one. It's Surah 2, ayat 170. So, you know, if Brother Ocho, Brother Shannon, or anybody else hears this, I'm not saying this as if you have to believe in the Quran. I'm just letting you know that as I am being a part of this presentation today, I have to show you that I'm tapping into a higher source and then adding it to what I learned, adding it to what I have experienced in my term on this planet. Because just the way that you spent many years in the NFL doing a wonderful job, you were one of my favorite players. I have to admit that I think you're a very brilliant man in the things that I've heard that you do in your hometown, as well as other places for other people that are less fortunate. You're a brilliant brother, but we all have to understand where our limitations are. We have to understand where we are great, where we're good, where we are adequate, and where we're not. And in this aspect, my brother, you don't measure up to the science at all. You lean on an emotional reality, because you can't give, just like you ask all the time, what's the science? You can't give science to benefit what you are saying. But I'm going to bring it today for you to have something to tap into. But I want to start with this, which Allah brought to us in the Quran. Again, Surah 2, ayat 170. And it says, and when it is said to them, follow what Allah has revealed, they say, nay, we follow that wherein we found our fathers. What? Even though their fathers had no sense at all, nor did they follow the right way. So my brother, you know, that is what I'll start with. Those are my initial thoughts. And you all let me know when I'm tapping back in.
Got you. What about you, Dr. Joy? What are your thoughts so far?
Praise be to Allah. Well, you know, I echo Dr. Akili's sentiments, and I will also add to that, coming from a traditional Chinese medical background, In the medicine, we look at acute versus chronic and lingering injuries. So praise be to Allah, this brother has not had a substantial injury, but just a little background in terms of, the understanding I bring to the table. The muscles are actually intrinsically linked with the spleen and the stomach. So I really want to start focusing on how this intertwines with how to eat to live. When we're talking about spleen and stomach meridians, which are part and parcel to one of the 5 elements in traditional Chinese medicine, the earth element. So that earth element, that spleen and stomach organs, they supply the suppleness to the muscles and the tissue. So even if you are injured, it's paramount to actually figure out what you can do to nourish your body to bounce back quickly.
Very important that you have some level of nutrition there for optimal recovery.
That's right.
And I'm gonna let this keep playing before I make a comment. Go ahead, bro.
To fix, and I think I was very fortunate. I might be one of the most fortunate NFL players to ever play an entire career and having no injuries outside of a dislocated pinky, a little nick here, a little nick there, but nothing major where it would cause me to miss any time. Therefore, when it comes to nutrition and to talk about taking care of your body, it's like, to me, everybody's different. Everybody's body's different. So it's hard for me to compare. I can't say anything about LeBron. I can't say anything about Calais Campbell or any other players that take care of their body and having to spend money on it. To me, I think it's a mind thing. It's a mind thing. I get up, I train hard, I get in the cold tub, I get in the hot tub. I never got massages. I don't want nobody touching me. No, I never got massages. And that's
obviously you believe the cold tub have something to do with it, or you wouldn't have got in it.
Oh no, because I saw everybody else doing it, so I just wanted to follow what everybody else was doing. At TJ,
okay, I promise you did that. Okay, you did that once or twice. You did that throughout your career.
Yeah, because
All right, so that the part where he says he did it because everybody else did it, right? I think it's safe to say that if enough football players or enough athletes were serious about their nutrition, he probably would have too. Don't you think?
I would agree.
Do you think maybe he would kind of be on that path? So it seems like, and it's easy. This is easy in sports. You often influenced by your team.
Right.
If everybody's doing it and it's working for everybody, then 9 times out of 10 you're gonna do it. So if everybody was serious about their nutrition on the team, and it's enough players be like, look, this is what I'm doing. This is what's helping me. And I think and it seems like everybody's doing it. Then Ocho will probably have a different view on nutrition. But to say that it's not important for him or it's all in the mind, really, it is all in the mind. It definitely your discipline comes from the passion you have for the sport, right? But discipline and passion can only go but so far. It can't make you live a long life. You have to have the discipline plus what you're incorporating into that discipline to give you that longevity. Right. So I just wanted to say that to the part about him, seeing everybody else do it, because that's the thing. Like if the athletes, they get in these cold tubs to help with the soreness, to help with the recovery, so that they're not waking up feeling like cement, in the morning, right?
Right.
So it's important, like following the crowd and being able to understand that everybody is helping you make your decisions. That's important, and that's probably why he feels the way he feels about nutrition. There's not enough of them doing it.
I would like to add something. I think it's interesting. To me, some of the most intelligent points that he made came in the first 2 to 5 minutes of this. One of the things that you have to point out, he says everybody's different, which is a very key point.
Right.
Because how many times, for those of us who have played sports, we go to the gym, we might see the brother who smoked a lot of marijuana, never works out, but he got a 40-inch vert.
Right.
He's got the most skill. It's like, you work out, like, bro, how do you? It's like you think nutrition doesn't apply to him, but then you meet this same brother, maybe 5, 10, 15 years later, and you see where you are juxtaposed to where he was.
Right.
And now, to me, that is where the diet, that is where nutrition, which feeds the desire, feeds the will, all those things kept in, because at a certain point, it catches up to you.
That's right.
So I think where this line of thinking is flawed is where you won't base what you do off of somebody else, but then you'll use yourself as a metric for regular people to go by when you just had a life where you beat the numbers. So that's my point on this. But let's keep building on this a little bit.
Yeah, let me add a little historical perspective to it as well, because your point, Brother Tariq, is absolutely imperative to include in this conversation, and that is a man like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was never a popular person in the NBA because he wasn't an ass kisser. He was a straightforward person. He was real about it all the time. The man did yoga before every game. The man had a very specific diet that he ate in his career. And everybody that knew him in their time in the NBA knew that it was those things that he was doing, as well as some of his spiritual connections, was the reason why his career lasted so long. And then we start looking at those that have done it in the sports where people don't last more than usually 3 to 5 years. We're talking about Walter Payton. We're talking about, look at the way LeBron is doing it. The reason why it wasn't such an impact with Kareem is because everybody thought him as the difference. Everything about him was strange. When Jordan did it, Jordan increased his abilities when he started looking at working out, doing specific type of workouts and specific diet. He changed it at the same time. And that's when it started to influence more of the general sports world. And then there was the white guy, I can't remember his name, that played for the Baltimore Orioles. He played like 20 something years. But all of these, Tom Brady, you look at Kobe, and you look at other people that played for such a long period of time. And then you look at now where we're looking at a man, the dude that used to play for the Green Bay Packers is now with the Jets. I'm forgetting Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
This man is attempting to come back in record time.
Right.
That's not because he's eating McDonald's. That's because he is having people that have done a surgery in a more refined way. His diet is very controlled, and he's being in a process that includes a lot of different modalities of healing that's getting him back this fast. So I must add this part, which Ocho doesn't know, is that the melanin in his skin is a large part of why he was so, I should say, because I want to use the word lucky. I don't use that. But anytime we look at a person with dark skin, there's plenty of studies all over the world where the more melanin, the faster you heal. The more melanin, the more dense your muscles are. The more melanin, the more dense your bones are. So yes, he was very fortunate, but he doesn't know where to go find. There's plenty of science to prove where nutrition fits in. He and maybe the people that he talks to don't know where it is, but there's plenty of science that includes, of course, certain types of workouts that they do now that they didn't do back in the day, but also nutrition, where Ochocinco would have had a faster 4-3 time. Ochocinco would have been able to catch the ball even faster and then turn his attention to those who were trying to tackle him. He would have had better recovery, as you were mentioning, my brother. So at the end of the day, yes, my brother Ocho, this type of technology is out there. This type of information, these studies are out there, and sometimes you have to go look for them because they're not right in front of the face, because it's not what the money wants to be out in the front. They would prefer people have injuries that they can't heal, so you can go to a doctor and that he can do surgery on your bone, and instead of letting it heal by itself. See, the whole sports arena has put a lot of false ideologies out into the world, and because people look up to sports figures, they do things that make no sense. What's a great one? Putting ice on your body, like you talked about. You follow something that has no scientific backing. You to go off the field and get into cold water, that's the opposite of how the body heals. The body heals by heating up, not cooling down. So that was an industry idea, the sports industry, to cool it down, to get your black behind back on the field instead of heating it up and letting it heal so you won't be limping when you're 50. And this is
right.
that I promise you. I can promise you, Ochocinco, that you have a day that's coming, bro. I'm not wishing this on you. Your brother will be practicing medicine 29 years in about a week.
Come on.
When I graduated from medical school, before I started my residency program, I worked with a doctor in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. That man worked with me for 2 weeks and would leave me in his office by him myself. He had so much confidence in what I was doing. Again, I'm not patting myself on the back. Praise be to Allah. But for 29 years, I have watched thin people, many thin people, eat what they want, drink what they want, smoke what they want, do what they want, not get enough rest, and they don't have any consequences, especially when they have dark skin. But when it comes, it's coming like an avalanche, bro.
That's right. It's gonna come.
I pray that you change before that happens. But I'm telling you for sure, you don't know the reality of what McDonald's food comes from. You don't know the type of chemicals, additives, food colorings, taste chemicals that they're putting in McDonald's. So you've been eating this all of your life and you still look good. You still have a wonderful workout routine. You still are pretty much very active. I've seen you lately in some things you're doing very, very still physically gifted in a lot of ways. But when it comes down, it's going to be like an ant underneath a hammer, bro. So I hope you change soon. I hope this may inspire you to do something different because you don't have a beautiful future. You have a very painful future in my experience. Again, let me make sure that people understand. I'm not doing this to clout chase. I don't give a damn about no clout off of Ochocinco. I get clout off of what Brother Akili does. So that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to put my brother down. But the main reason why I have so much energy towards you, Brother Ocho, is because you're influencing many young black men around this country that are looking at you and saying, oh, hell yeah, I can't eat ramen noodles. No, it's going to kill you, bro. Right. Eventually. And most of you young men don't understand that Ocho comes from back in the gap where even though he was eating McDonald's, even as a young man, the world wasn't as toxic then as it is now. So those of you who are following his type of advice, you'll be dead by the time you're 30 damn near, or you'll wish you were as bad as shape you'll be in.
Dr. Joy, anything, or should we resume?
There's so much to unpack. I do have a few things to add just in terms of TCM lens. Brother Jabril, when you said, every body is different, when you pinpointed that, that is absolutely correct, especially in the 5 pillars of traditional Chinese medicine. We have 1, acupuncture and moxibustion, which Dr. Akili, you even mentioned about heating up. Moxibustion is actually a Chinese herb called Aye, or it's actually Chinese mugwort. And we use that especially in sports injury and sports injury medicine to heat up specific acupressure points on the body in order to get that blood flow and that qi moving so that more circulation, more, white blood cells, red blood cells, tissue can start building up, even in terms of like bone breaks, that's also very helpful. And then one of the second pillars, nutrition and Chinese herbs. Nutrition in Chinese medicine, it's personalized. So everybody is different. We can, in Chinese medicine, that's what we're looking at. It's all about personalization. And when we're speaking about Brother Ocho's diet, even, being brought up in the cut, we're talking about how this is mind, body, spirit medicine. So in traditional Chinese medicine, we're looking at spleen and stomach as part of the earth element, and that also subsides in the spiritual aspect of the yi, yi. That in translation means the intellect. So how is the food and the medicine actually affecting the intellect of how he's even, want to perform or play to perform? So the chi of the outside world also enters into the body and interacts with our unborn primordial chi, and it does this first via the food, which is what gives value and the adage to, again, not only how to eat to live, but you are what you eat.
Wow, very good point. It's definitely I'm like I said in the beginning of the episode, we're not chastising our brother, we're not making fun of him or anything like that, but his diet is definitely playing a role in how he's understanding his intellect, how understanding how nutrition works and how it can benefit him throughout the years. Let's go ahead and keep it going.
You believe the cold tub guy had something to do with it, or you wouldn't have got in it.
Oh no, because I saw everybody else doing it, so I just wanted to follow what everybody else was doing. At TJ,
okay,
I
okay,
promise
you did that. Okay, you did that
TJ,
once or twice. You did that throughout your career.
Yeah, because TJ Houshmandzadeh and Carson Palmer told me you should get in the cold tub. You're running yourself ragged. You're running, dude. Listen, let me tell you how I practice. I want to say that word. I want to say the R word. I was ridiculous. I did scout team. I did kickoff. I used to play the gunner. This is in practice just to get me in rhythm, preparing for a game. T.O. was with us in 2010. T.O. pulled me to the side and said, "Man, what in the hell are you doing? What are you doing?" I'm taking all the goddamn snap. I said, "This is how I always get ready for Sundays." He said, "Man, you running yourself ragged, man. You're going to be tired when the games come." I say, "T, this is the way I practice it, and I'm used to it." So that was one of the joys of having T there and having to show me how to manage my body and minimize some of the work that I was putting in during the week. But that's all that I knew. And I think that's one of the reasons why I never got hurt. I put my body through the ringer constantly to where, you know what, when it was time to play and time to get hit and take those hits, I just get right up and keep on going.
What if you get in the hyperbaric chamber? What if you eating right? Instead of having 11,000 yards, you had 14,000. And instead of having 60 touchdowns, you had 90.
How? I just told you I never got hurt. I didn't miss any time. So where those numbers gonna come from? Madden?
No. Maybe instead of that, maybe you break a tackle. Instead of having a 15-yard game, you get a 30-yard game.
I never got tackled by the first man.
Man, stop it.
You saw what I did to Ray. Don't play me like that.
No, I saw you got flapjack.
But listen, another thing that I hate. People, I'm eating healthy. I'm eating healthy because it's gonna help me perform better. No, it's not. Because how you perform is a skill set. It's a skill set based on how hard you train and what God has blessed you with. And you putting the two together, not the food. Saying, if I eat salads and I eat healthy and I do all this nutrition stuff, all of a sudden I'm going to be Jerry Rice. No, you're not.
No.
Listen, either you good or you're not. That's it.
But I do believe. But like you said, it's a mindset. You don't believe. See,
bingo. Mindset.
The fact that you don't believe it's going to help is not going to help.
I thought that was a good point. I have a couple.
Last sentence is exactly what I was about to say. But go ahead, bro.
Ocho's funny. So you started off with herd mentality, where you did what people said because they said it and went in the league longer. Then you go and you get success. Now you're an individual because I just do this, and now it's all because of the work I put in, how much how many runs I do, how many sets I do, right? What I put my body through, and I'm able to perform. And then he makes an interesting point. Okay, because I eat like this, I'm gonna be Jerry Rice. That is not true, right? We, as a former athlete myself, you are the work you put in. But the key is when you talk about lasting in a game, in a sport, having any level of longevity, that comes in the recovery and in the prep.
Right.
And in the recovery, you have rest, you have proper nutrition, right? You have cool down, you have all that stuff. At a certain point, your body has to be conditioned in such a way that the talent can be contained. So I could jump out the gym, but if if I'm not feeding myself properly, if I'm not healthy, right? If I'm just piling on, just aware and stress, at a certain point, my body's going to give out. Right. I'm not refueling properly. Mm-hmm. So it's not, so he's going at this in a very isolated manner and saying, you eat healthy, you be Jerry Rice, as if people are discounting talent and hard work. No, it's the marriage. So that's what I wanted to say on that point.
Yeah, I think he was. I think the conversation when Ocho is, of course, in his I shouldn't say his energy, right?
Right.
He's mixing up different topics, and I think all of them. Every time I've heard him have this conversation, it's a non-scientific conversation. It's an emotional conversation. That's why they're jumping from different subjects. So the different subjects are, we're talking about talent and ability,
right?
Which many times you can give to the creator. Right. I went to high school with Reggie Miller. I don't give a damn how much time I spent on the basketball court. I wasn't going to be better than him.
Right.
He was 6 inches taller than I was. His arms were longer than my brother was almost as tall as he was, but he had a lot of things that were just good for him, right? Reggie Miller wasn't the best basketball player in the city that I grew up in, but his work ethic with that ability and the gifts is why he was so good and so great. So yes, Ocho, there is a natural gift aspect to it. But the conversation, if we stay right there, is, as we said earlier, you can take a man who, like yourself, played, I don't remember, it was 11 or 13 years. I think it was 11 years. But if you weren't eating a McDonald's diet, I promise you could have made it to 20. No question in my mind whatsoever. There, I played football, and I remember many times catching the ball, looking back, and you can feel that there's somebody about to crack you. You can feel that somebody's far away enough where you have enough time to turn, stop, move, pivot, whatever you're going to do to try to get away from this person. See, those type of gifts would have been on another level if you eat the right food. So when you sit here and you say that what you eat has nothing to do with it, bro, I'm telling you, there's much science out there that is talking exactly about this, about how people can be so intuitive on the field in a sports or reality. The only one that's like doing certain type of training and the only one that's eating this certain way, you can see them running laps around everybody else on the field and doing things that everybody's like so amazed. And it's because that person equaled that talent with the hard work, but also with the intuition that comes from the mind that God put in you. Because that's why I say, I don't care what people say and how they look at athletes. There's no professional athlete that's a dummy. He put all of his mind, all of his effort, all of his everything into that sport. He's a genius in that sport. If he put his mind to the damn math, he would have been the same way in math. If he had put his mind in English, he would have been the same way in English. So you all just don't realize how extremely brilliant you are to be an excellent football player like you were for many years. Your mind is proven that certain foods make the mind light up and certain foods that make the mind dull. The reason why the slave master started pouring pork down our mouths, busting teeth out of black people and pouring pork down their mouth if they didn't want to eat it was because it sounded the mental ability of black people. And they knew that. That's a scientific experiment before they even came and got us from the motherland to bring us to slavery, bro. So these are things that you just don't know, Brother Ocho. And so again, this is not an attack on you, but this just means that you might need to settle down, slow down. You say you fast, or slow down and do some damn research, bro, on what can improve the ability of the eye, which is mostly nerves, the ability of the brain, which means that if you increase the ability of the brain, you increase the ability of your mind. So yes, you would have been a better player. You would have recovered faster. You would have lasted longer in the league. And so those are just a couple of things based on your last point. If y'all don't mind, I want one more scripture and one thing from how these live.
Sir. Go ahead.
All right. Here is chapter 2 again, Surah 2, verse 91 or ayat 91. It says, and when it is said to them, believe in that which Allah has revealed, they say, we believe in that which was revealed to us. And they deny what is besides that, while it is the truth, verifying that which they have. So I'm saying that, Brother Ocho, because yes, your statements are absolutely incorrect when you say there's no science behind what we are discussing today. And again, I'm taking it to the next level. I'm taking it to what Allah said. Right. So here's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says in a book called Our Savior Has Arrived. But the statement that he makes in here is in congruence with what he talks about in the book How to Eat to Live. Now, Brother Ocho, you might not believe when we as members of the Nation of Islam say that God came in person and taught the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's okay. It might be the first time you're hearing it. If it's not the first time you're hearing it, now you're hearing it again with much undergirding it as a foundation. But the reality is that in 29 years of practicing medicine, there is nothing, no book I've ever read, and nothing that anybody out here is doing that can supersede this book. There are many ideas in medicine that came from that book. They won't say it like he said because they don't want to give him the credit. But listen to what he says about health. This is on page 147. Our Savior has arrived. He said, "Thy will be done." He's talking about Allah. Thy will be done. The will of Allah must be done. It is not the will of Allah that his people, the black people, be sick. When a man has no sickness in his body, we call him happy. He is happy. He does not feel any pain. The body is happy. This is just the life Allah teaches you to enjoy. It is not the will of Allah that you get sick. You make yourself sick. Allah does not have a set time for you and me to die. We kill ourselves. We can prolong our lives by living right and eating the right food. People who want their will to be done, let them go to Allah and obey Allah and the messenger. So, my brother, when you talk about playing for 11 years without any injuries, you're happy. And that was a happy time in your life where you saw a lot of your comrades even on your team, but in the NFL in general, miss a whole season or get injured and never be able to come back and play. So yeah, you were happy about that. But my brother, that is not the type of diet for a God. That's not the type of diet for a king. And that's why you see people in your community. I'm talking about down there in Liberty City. What are you talking about? I've been to Liberty City. I got a homie, close friend in the Nation of Islam now that's from down in that area. So I've been there many times. And your area of the country is like every other black area in the country. Black people damn near dead at 56, walking on canes in their 50s and 60s. Can't even think anymore because they're losing their memory. In a bed, somebody else got to wipe your behind. Brother, I'm telling you that the diet that you are promoting, that's the future of that diet. And I've been in the field long enough to know that I'm speaking the truth. So again, this information is not to attack you. It's for the public to be able to decipher that there is a large audience that you have and you're speaking a lot of ignorance to them. And hopefully we can clear some of that up. And you will, inshallah, God say the same, be a part of undoing some of what you have influenced in the wrong direction.
Absolutely. And you know, I'm glad we're doing this. We actually had 2 videos, family. So we're gonna do a part 2 and probably part 5, 6, 7 of reacting to this video. But at this time, we're gonna go to the next video, and this is from I think I Am Athlete platform.
I had a guy,
and they're talking more about this is a little bit more.
I had
candid
a guy
discussion
from Cincinnati.
You good, bro? It's a more candid discussion about. No, you good. This is a more candid discussion on nutrition, and here we have Brandon Marshall bringing up a few of his points or his understandings of nutrition and proper diet when it comes to athletic performance. Let's check it out.
Eddie just hit me up, like I posted something and he responded and I hit him back. I was like, routine over hustle. It's the same thing that you're saying. Like a lot of times we get in this mentality, hustle, hustle, hustle. I got to grind. And the grind, like when you don't feel good and you saying you hustling, you're going to sleep in the bed. But I always said, put a championship routine in place and that's going to hold you accountable, because when you say, I'm going to get up at this time, I'm going to do this at this time, I'm going to, eat this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you stick to that, no matter how you feel, like that's the commitment you're making, is like to the routine.
Because you can have a routine. We all got routines, but what reinforces that?
It depends on the commitment. So for me, let's just say football. So for me, it was, I wanted to win the champion. I wanted to win the Super Bowl. I wanted to have 100+ catches a year. I wanted to have 1,500 yards. I wanted to have 12+ touchdowns every single year. That was the baseline. So in my mind, I said, I'm gonna put a championship routine in place. When am I seeing a chiropractor? When I'm seeing a massage therapist, dry needling, ART, MAT, ART, active release technique, MAT, manual
activation.
Yeah, there
The
you go.
hell is all that shit?
Bro, all of that. I'll tell you, I got a whole write-up.
You got to get into it, baby.
So I really want to get Dr. Joy's perspective on this part, because education and knowing exactly what things are plays a value in how it plays a part in how you use it in your everyday life. So Dr. Joy, some of the things he was talking about, using certain types of things to optimize his health. What are your thoughts on that? How do you see education of certain things playing a role in how serious you take this?
Yes, sir. That's a great question. Praise be to Allah. Well, first of all, Brother Brandon, he talked about routine, accountability, and commitment to a goal, which are all, very, wonderful pillars in order to reach a goal. Um, Education, on one hand, though, when you're talking about routine, and he did mention this, there also has to be a period of rest, even in how to eat to live. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad talks about giving our stomachs a break through fasting, right? Because that is going to help increase our longevity of life. And that is the true goal. Even back to Brother Ocho, building muscles, there's even a period of breaking the tissue of the muscles and then allowing that time for relaxation in order to produce peak ATP or blood flow that can enhance, that growth and delivery to the muscles. In terms of what Brother Brandon was talking about, though, I personally need to comment on his mention of dry needling, because that is complete opposition of what acupuncture actually is. Here in North Carolina, for instance, dry needling is it's able to be practiced by physical therapists and chiropractors and I do believe medical doctors. The difference between that and an acupuncturist, though, is the educational years and years of experience. You can take a weekend course as any of the three that I mentioned and call yourself a dry needler and go to town. Whereas an acupuncturist, we take anywhere between 3 to 7 years. And I say 3 to 7 because that depends on whether you're just wanting to do a master's program and become licensed, or if you want to, go to the full terminal degree of a doctorate in Chinese medicine. And so there's so much wealth and value in the time spent to understand this 4,000-year-old traditional holistic medicine. So I really I'm glad that you brought that up, because there's such a huge difference. And actually on the West Coast, largely in the states of Washington, Oregon, and California, it's illegal for physical therapists and chiropractors to do dry needling. It's illegal. Medical doctors can do it. Acupuncturists can do it because that's within their scope. But there's a vast difference even between our coasts and what they practice and why and how. And mostly it's about the payment through insurance.
Gotcha. Anybody else on thoughts on that?
I just want to add this point. When it comes back to the science and some of the specific things that Brandon Marshall was discussing, when you take a muscle and you take an active person, you can draw. Let me not say draw. That's the wrong word. You can evaluate down to a microscopic level of what is happening when this person is running on a field, when this person is doing a sport like wrestling versus running track versus swimming versus football. There are scientists that are out studying all these different types of activities, but mostly the type of nutrition and the type of uptake of nutrition that's occurring during these activities. And so we have what's called in the human body called the Krebs cycle. We have the electron transport train. We have other systems like this. I don't want to get in depth into scientific terminology, but the point is that when a muscle contracts, it is using nutrition.
Right.
When the body is working with the mind and what the foot does. If some of you have worked out in or walked or ran in situations where there are rocks and the land is not necessarily all flat, you can look on the ground and your foot will land right there. You moved on to something else before your foot is landed. So we're talking about the nutritional uptake in studies that will show that when a mind is doing something that like a fast sporting event, there's a lot of uptake of nutrition in this person's body. So certain vitamins like vitamin C, of course, a lot of calcium and sodium and other things that make all the muscles work and all these type of things, the amino acids that are the breakdown product of any type of protein that you eat. These are things that we're pulling into the body in order to function at a high rate like they do. And at the same time, there's that research. There's also research that will show you the nutrition or lack thereof of a Big Mac and French fries.
Right.
You pull those type of foods and break them down and look at them under a microscope, you can't find nutrition. You can find a lot of stuff that's going in the body. The body's breaking it down and it's absorbing things because it's being tricked in some aspects by the fakeness of some of these things. But in a nutritional reality, the documentary that he mentioned, Super Size Me, that was specific about McDonald's and the nutritional tests that they did on that food. And this, we're talking quite a few years ago, was very poor. That man's nutrition deteriorated because he was eating a specific diet of McDonald's. And so don't just exclude that, Ocho. Again, I will tell you, the reason why your body didn't deteriorate like that man is because he was white and you were a dark-skinned brother. That's a huge safety net for you, my bro. And if you don't get on track to start doing something different, we're going to watch you in a whole different light. I am not looking forward to it. I don't pray that it happens to you, but I do know enough about science to say that it's an actual fact that you're going to run into a wall.
You know, I was saying before we went live that if everybody had the opportunity to look at how what they eat interacts with parts of their body under a microscope, a lot of people would be quiet. They would not. Well, let me not say they'll be quiet. They wouldn't have a hard time believing that nutrition plays a part. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely.
Because nutrition is like, let me say this. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that whenever a messenger or a prophet is sent, the first thing that they do is teach you how to eat. Because nothing that they say or do would work if they don't get your mouth out of the enemy's control.
Actual fact.
Your mind has to you have to be able to be taught about certain things. If your diet is out of control, you cannot be taught right because you're not going to absorb the information properly.
Right.
Which is why when we play this video, you're about to see some stuff where Ocho goes in because his nutrition is not allowing him, and I'm not attacking him personally, but his nutrition is not allowing him, like we said in the beginning, it's not allowing him to understand how important this is. But let's go ahead and keep it rolling. Yeah, let's keep this going for a substantial amount of time because this gets good.
And there you go.
The hell is all that shit?
Bro, all of that. I'll tell you, I got a whole write-up.
You got to get into
what
it,
time
baby.
I'm working, what time I'm eating, when I'm seeing these people, what days I'm seeing these people. And for me, it was no matter how I feel, I'm going to do that. Even to the point where I say I'm working out at 5:30 in the morning because I was like you, I wanted to be the first in the building. If I'm working out at 5, if I say I'm going to work out at 5:30 in the morning and I don't feel like it, to me, it was still a win when I would go to the weight room and don't even work out. Because I said, as soon as I break routine, then I'm going to get in a bad habit. So I would actually go there, and those were my greatest days where I'm sitting in the weight room, 5:30 in the morning, beat up, didn't want to do it, and I'm like, I got up. That's a win.
Oh, y'all do all type of shit when y'all were playing, man.
Them.
I get up 5 in the morning. I get my coffee, 6 o'clock, Starbucks, 6:30, in the stadium. Normally the first one there because I want to make sure I get to the stereo first because, you know, seniority rules. I want to hear my music. And I'm ready to go every day. I'm live wire.
But that was your
I'm talking about
that was your box.
That was the routine.
That was your box, and you did it every day.
What was all that ABC? What was all that ABC?
All that is
MIT and what?
Recovery, bro. Like that's that. Like, yeah,
it's real. No, it's real.
But this will blow my mind. Y'all did this in the off season.
It's in the off season and regular season.
You have to.
I'm with y'all in the regular season.
But think about it. You was a skinny dude, dog.
Yeah, I ain't getting hurt either.
Look at this big receiver, man. He was tight. He was big.
But just think about what would Ocho have done if he wasn't.
Yeah.
You keep talking about McDonald's, all that, man. But I truly believe sleep and nutrition is the biggest X factors. I'm telling you, bro. Bro, you could have played 20 years, bro. You played.
I wouldn't have played 20 years because I fucked up.
I believe it.
I fucked up. Period. I wouldn't have played.
Bro,
I wouldn't have played.
I'm talking about numbers.
My numbers were great, just how they were. Eating
Cincinnati?
Yes.
The last year in Cincinnati?
My last year, I can't control the opportunities coming to me, idiot.
What? Are you serious?
Whoa.
Are you serious?
Are you serious?
You had 800 yards.
Did you see the opportunities?
Yeah, I saw the opportunities.
And they were cut short.
So you're saying,
they were cut short.
So you're telling me
they were cut short.
Why were they cut short?
Because that's the way the system works.
What's the system?
Are you okay?
What's the system?
What's the system?
What's the system?
What were your numbers last year?
What's the system?
What were your numbers last year?
Bum numbers.
Exactly. Why were they bummy?
Bum numbers. I played 13 years.
Why? What does that mean?
Because I tore my ankle. I had a deltoid.
Answer the question. Why did your numbers go down? What happened?
My ankle.
Were the balls coming? Were the same?
No, it's not. Had nothing to do with
exactly.
balls.
It's the way it works. They work you out the system. It's
No,
the way
it
it
wasn't
works.
working out the system. It wasn't no working out the system.
You okay?
I tore my ankle.
Are you okay?
I tore my ankle. This conversation all the time.
Randy Moss, T.O., they did it. Jerry Rice. Now you come to me and you don't have common sense.
How many years did they play?
How many years did they play?
How many years did they play?
I don't know.
But
they worked them out the game just like they do everybody else. Why are you acting like that's something new? What does the number of years they played?
Jerry Rice played 19 years.
What is the number of years they played? Does it matter?
Longevity.
Longevity how?
Longevity.
What does longevity mean when I fucked up? Are you missing the
No, you're not. You're talking about
up. You're telling me about my last year and why my numbers were bad. Because the opportunities they were working me out of the system. Do you not get that?
Good. This is good.
No. Stop. Don't go nowhere. Just be quiet.
I ain't going nowhere.
They worked every receiver, every great receiver.
We're having two different conversations.
Randy Moss. You talk about longevity.
We're having two conversations.
You can't talk about
different conversations. Go ahead.
Longevity. You can't talk longevity with me because my black ass up. So that's out the door.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Last season I played. Look at the number of targets when I put up great numbers. Look at the
All right, so who want to eat first?
Well, I want to talk about this system that he's talking about, right? Because,
Please.
you know, we have to look at systems on many different ways, right? The same way he's talking about a system that is eliminating players out of the league.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that is far-fetched because you hear many people say those type of things.
Right.
You hear many excellent receivers, excellent players in whatever sport it is. They're not only getting to a place where their careers are winding down, but they're also getting to a place where they're thinking much better. They're starting to look more at the future and not thinking that this is going to last forever. So many of the black athletes, once they become a little more in tune to what they need to be doing for themselves, yes, these organizations do start to try to deteriorate your ability to be self-controlling. That's a part of the reality, keeping you a damn slave. So I don't disagree with that because I know Ochocinco when he played, the reason why we call him Ochocinco, it was a business move of his. He was a very astute marketer of himself, but Ochocinco was part of his rebellion against the BS that he was dealing with in the league. But the reason why I wanted to talk about that, Ocho, is because maybe you haven't read Memorandum 100 from Rockefeller that he gave to the United States government, but there's a depopulation process that's been going on longer than you've been alive. And so the same way you talk about this system of trying to get you black athletes out of the NFL, there's also a system that these people put in place to try to kill darker skinned people off the planet Earth. And McDonald's is a huge part of that depopulation program, my brother. Do a little research and you'll see how you can tie these things together. We didn't come here to talk to you, to try to put you down or talk at you as if we have a problem with you. We have a problem with something that you are saying, but you are a wonderful brother with a lot of influence that if you would educate yourself on this topic alone, you would make a huge difference in your community. Because the one thing that you do with this stance that you're taking is you're justifying people thinking that eating cheap is going to be okay in the future. And I'm just here to tell you that that's the farthest thing from the truth. Last quote of the day, if you all don't mind, real quick.
Go for it.
How to Eat to Live, Book 1, page 18. God does not punish us for the crime of disobedience to his laws when we are ignorant of his laws. But after knowledge of his laws, he is justified in punishing us by setting the full penalty according to the disobedience. So again, my brother, I'm speaking from a higher power than me. I'm speaking of people that lifted me out of the garbage that I learned in medical school and made what was good make sense and helped me understand what to throw away. So at the end of the day, brother, you have a responsibility. And if you, I pray that you are exposed to the show, and I pray that you are courageous and brave enough to watch this show and to understand that we're coming to you with love. And if you do, once you hear these words, you're responsible for what the meaning of it is to you and the rest of the people that you have influence over.
Absolutely. Dr. Joy, what are your thoughts?
Honestly, I just think Dr. Akili hit the nail on the head, especially with understanding the larger scope of the enemy. You know, the systems that are put into place, the McDonaldization of everything from athleticism to education to
say that word again. McDonaldization.
yes.
Like,
It's, you know, it's a fast food nation. You know what I mean? It's everything is so quickly overturned or run that we don't even have time to think. You know, that's part and parcel of the plan. You know, so dump in a lot of you know, excess, and then you're spent, you know, trying to siphon out, you know, what is good, or who to follow. You know, what talking head is new on Instagram. You know, like what new supplement is there to take. You know, like there's so much trash to wade through, and that's all just part of the plan.
Got you. Absolutely. And matter of fact, Jabril's having some technical issues. He's actually controlling the video sharing, so he's gonna come back shortly. But I wanted to ask you, Dr. Akili, you know, when you first saw this video, or when you first saw Chad's views on nutrition, what were some of the? Oh, here we go.
Apologies on that.
You good, bro? But I was just to kind of complete my question, Dr. Akili, what were some of your thoughts when you first saw the video? Because I know we most of us on the screen are familiar with Ocho's career, but when you first heard these sentiments about how he felt about nutrition, what was the first thing that came to mind for you personally?
Well, you know, I've been like I said, I've been kind of following Chad since he was with Cincinnati Bengals. I always thought he was a great player. I liked he and TJ Husmanzada, and then when T.O. came there, I mean, I liked them as people. And so I kind of rooted for him, you know what I mean? So I kind of kept with him after his career. And I believe the first time I heard him say this was when they were doing the I Am Athlete, that group right there, those four who started. Of course, there's been all kind of stuff that happened since then. But when he said it the first time, I really thought he was joking. I mean, I literally thought at the end of the show, he was going to come back and say, and after the show went off, I was like, damn, this fool really just put this garbage out there like that. And all these young people, because I know, you know, people personally that say that he does a wonderful job of doing programs down in Florida where he brings all these young people and he's very influential, right? Because like he said, in one of these, I can't remember which one it was. I think it may have been another one, but he talked about how difficult of a factor, what small chance he had to make it out of Liberty City.
Right.
Florida, where he's
that was
from,
the first
right?
one.
So we know a lot of Black people from all over this country that come from environments like that. So you as a Black man, regardless of whether you're an athlete, you're so-called educated and a PhD or a physician or a lawyer or an acupuncturist or, you know, whatever it is, you have a responsibility when you go back to a community like that and people look up to you, right? And the thing that Brother Akili will admit as a Black man that typically we don't is that, yes, I am very versed in medical terminology. I'm very versed in nutritional terminology because I've studied it for years. But I was a horrible what should I say, manager of money when in Houston, when I had my practice there. I was a horrible husband in my first marriage. So many of us just have to just sit back for a minute and say, you know what? I don't need to give advice at certain aspects in my life, right? And so Ochocinco doesn't think that because he believes that McDonald's was good enough to help him through these beneficial things that he had in his life, because he just hasn't had enough time or just hasn't taken the time to look into the reality of how much, like he said, he was blessed. It was a blessing that he went through 11 years and was never majorly injured. But at the end of the day, you can't take this philosophy that he has, which has many holes in it, which is not ever staying in line with one subject matter and talking through that particular subject matter so that it can make sense. So he's, off base. And we have to say that. At the same time, we love you, brother. You got to understand that those of us on this show right now, the four of us, I can say this, we don't hold anybody in a higher esteem than we do the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
That's right.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan can be speaking at Savior's Day in front of 10, 20,000 people and millions watching online. And if he makes a mistake, somebody will go and give him a note and say, Brother Minister, you made a mistake. And
absolutely.
He corrects himself. So that's all we're doing today. We want to correct you because you are wrong. I can say that with 1,000% certainty that your philosophy on McDonald's being okay for you to continue to eat, suggesting it for other people and suggesting that people do it, especially when they have a gift like you have, a gift like you had, however you want to look at it, and you want them to go through this same routine to express their gift. That's a horrible, horrible advice that you are giving, my brother. You can't even pronounce, I promise you, some of the things that are in that food that you're eating from McDonald's.
Come on.
And so if you don't know how to pronounce them, you damn sure don't know what they're doing to your body. And so, like I say, I pray that you change. I pray that maybe at this point in your life, maybe because you did say in one of these videos that you do eat other things. I'm praying that the other things that you're eating is balancing the damage that you're doing with McDonald's. And I pray that your future is wonderful. I pray that you live many years, but I pray that in the midst of you learning and getting rid of some of your bad habits. I wouldn't eat McDonald's if I was starving.
Go ahead, bro. We're gonna go ahead and play the rest of the video. Well, the majority of the video, and then after that, we're gonna go into some closing questions, and then we're gonna close it out. Okay. So let's play the video real quick.
So that's out the door. Last season I played. Look at the number of targets when I put up great numbers. Look at the number of targets when I put up bad numbers. My last year.
Yeah.
Common sense. Do your homework.
No. Sit down. No. You can't just say that because you got to hear my side. Because every time we talk
But
about this McDonald's thing, it gets the same way.
What the f does food have to do with my skill set?
Think about it. I'm about to talk to you.
Nothing.
Sit down.
Yeah,
Let's finish the conversation. So, LeBron James.
Don't talk to me about LeBron James. Stop using him as an example.
Why? He's the benchmark. Tom Brady's the benchmark. Why are they playing? Why is Tom Brady 43 years old?
He's still talking about players that are playing with longevity when I got up getting in trouble.
We're having two different conversations. No, because
don't talk to me about players that are playing that didn't stuff like I did.
I'm saying to you.
No, I don't want to hear that.
I would say this. Year 5, Chad Johnson, before you was Ochocinco.
Year 4, and year 3, and year 6, and year 7 and 8 were all great.
I turned on the film, and you were in your prime. And what I'm saying to you is if your lifestyle, if you were eating better, and if you were sleeping better, just listen. Listen,
baby,
if you
what
were
time
eating,
do I go to bed?
Listen to me.
What time do I go to bed? Do I club? Do I drink?
You're eating McDonald's.
Telling me the fucking McDonald's is the reason.
McDonald's.
Put McDonald's in my career.
What are you talking about? Do you understand the power of food?
You're brainwashed.
Do you understand how
yes, you're brainwashed.
This is science. This is science. Good carbs.
Okay, real quick. I know we're gonna play this. I have a couple questions, so I just want to be clear. When he asked, I'm assuming his wife or girlfriend or whatever, what time does he go to bed? Does he drink or whatever? Does he club? Does he drink? When he asked, does she drink? Did he say no? Did she say no?
Yeah, she said no.
Now my question becomes, why is it important that you don't drink? Why, like this is my thought process, and I had a conversation with my brother-in-law.
Contradicting himself, exactly.
I had a conversation with my brother-in-law earlier. The McDonald's thing seems to be the focus, because he's not saying junk food, bad food. He's not even using any other chains. It's about McDonald's. But yet you're vehement, or you're making a point to say you don't drink. So obviously you understand that there are things in this world that are bad for you. So at a certain point, it looks to me like there's some level of, I get money from McDonald's. I could be completely wrong. And there's no financial backing there. But it comes off like that. So now also too, he seems to suffer from this oxymoronic mentality. So on one side, there's the arrogance of wanting everybody to believe that it's all about you as to why you were so successful. That's why it has to be about mentality, my skill set, and talent. Because if I can attribute to things like, melanin, as Dr. Akili said, nutrition, that means that more people can be me. But now on the flip side, you also don't want people to bring up people like LeBron James or whatever, because they'll never be them. But Ocho, 9 out of 10, ain't nobody gonna be you either.
That's right.
Right.
So you can't be both relatable and untouchable at the same time.
Right.
You can't. And also, we're not telling you that your skill set or your talent didn't matter. But just the same way your discipline is a skill in of itself that is honed by and large by diet. You can't keep consistently getting up 5:30 and being productive every day, eating anything.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you, as someone who's been engaged in self-examination, self-analysis, self-correction, when I'm eating properly 1 meal a day, and also I eat early, inshallah, between the hours of 4 and 6, not only do I wake up in time for Fajr or early, I only need about 5 hours of sleep.
That's right.
Exactly.
I sleep more. I still have a certain internal clock, but I sleep more when I eat later or eat maybe things I shouldn't have been eating or what have you. So again, this conversation is highly emotional. And the last thing I'll say too, he made a point, I think in the other video, and I just want to say, he asked Unc about why he thinks more players are getting injured today. And he made a point. He said, because y'all eat like rabbits. He said, y'all take a sport where that's a carnal sport and you basically eat like prey, and you wonder why, you're getting injured as much. And I said, there is some merit to the whole aspect of mentality and like eating, let's say it's like excessive or more meat or what have you, and having a level of edge. But if you're talking about purely what the muscles need and performance, then you can throw that argument out the window. So I just wanted to point that out there real quick.
Let me add one thing, bro. The thing that we have to see in Chad's activity in both of these segments is the emotions that's tied to when he gets into the subject matter.
Right.
So we know there's something emotional, and I've listened to other interviews of him, and if I remember correctly, he had a single mother. I think he had some siblings. They, of course, were very poor, and I believe there were some times where that's all she could afford. She could only afford McDonald's to feed her children. So there's a deep, deep, deep emotional tie with this brother and McDonald's. I do know he owns 3, so I don't necessarily know if that's the reality that he's getting paid by them, where he continues to promote it so that people will promote his McDonald's. But at the end of the day, there's an emotional attachment that's dealing with his pain as a young person. When he talks about the environment that he came up out of, there is pain connected with he and McDonald's, and that's why it's so emotional and sometimes irrational when he gets into the subject.
Right.
Dr. Joy.
This is Dr. Joy.
I really want to hear from you because, you said you weren't too familiar with Ocho's career before this, right?
I have no idea who this brother is.
So now that you kind of gotten to know him a little bit or know his career through us and this particular episode, what are your thoughts on do you think that this conversation would have went differently if some of us were in this room in this conversation with him? Or people like us that think the way we do?
That's a wonderful question. Praise be to Allah. I'm unsure about if his reactions would be different to the knowledge that you bring to the table from the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the example of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I have no idea what his reactions would be. That's a nuclear reaction, what I'm watching.
Right.
But
that's a pretty good plug right there.
I like that.
I like that.
I'm loving that.
But this actually brings me back to when Brother Jabril and I were interviewing Sister Ilyasa, and how she spoke on not only accountability, but self-advocacy, right? And so I really think that, let me read the comment here. He can't believe what he's saying. Yeah, I think he enjoys staying controversial. Problem is people may believe his statements to be absolute truth. Self-advocacy would, I think it would sharpen his skills of self-advocacy if he were to gain the knowledge of the teachings and what you as brothers, as FOI, could introduce to him, inshallah. But there is, and back to Dr. Akili's point earlier, there's a responsibility to bring knowledge back to the community. And where does that start with but the self? So I have learned quite a bit about Brother Ocho.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And Sister Sabrina said the same thing. She has no idea who he is. Sister Sabrina, ask Brother Aljo who Chad Ochocinco is. I'm sure Brother Secretary will tell you who Chad is. Praise be to Allah. But family, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. There's so many parts because there's actually more content of him talking about this subject matter. And in the next video I want to do a reaction to. He's talking more so about the scientific research behind the way he thinks, and I really want to get into that. So on the next Nuclear Reactions, we're gonna be doing this part 2. Inshallah, maybe Dr. Akili next week you can come through again, or 2 weeks.
Bro, all you gotta do is give me a few days, man. I'll put it on the calendar. So yeah, we can make it happen.
Yes,
sir. But yeah, so family, what are your closing thoughts? What are some of the things that people can take away from this particular episode?
Brother Jabril?
So for me, I'm the engineer in the room, right? So when he talks about discipline, mindset, right? These are the things that form the catalyst for success. If I think about input, output, something in the middle, that makes perfect sense. What I also understand is I understand systems as an engineer. And his life is a system, right? And has worked to his understanding as well as it could have worked. Now, a big part of his mentality, we have to understand where arrogance comes into play. A lot of successful people begin to think that they are the sole reason behind said success and will not give praise and worship to the one who gives all. So Brother Dr. Akili, when he went into the Holy Quran, he's letting you know that you got several degrees in these panels here, but every degree is one. Right. Well, we're talking about someone who has 360, and we continue to feed on so that we can go beyond the degrees that the white man has placed upon us. So the big thing I want us to understand is that we need to humble ourselves as individuals. And then at that point, you can then think scientifically and lead a life scientifically. The one thing that I've understood as an engineer is that everything's connected, and through problem solving and being a critical thinker, but also tying yourself to that true source will allow you to constantly be nourished in a way that allows you to lead a life of fulfillment. So that's one of the things that for me, I gather from this is that I just thank Allah who came with a person, the Master Prophet Muhammad, raised the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, left in our midst the Messiah, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. So that's all I got.
Beautiful point, Black man. Beautiful point.
Absolutely. Dr. Q.
Yeah, I'm finished talking to my brother Ocho. I pray that if he hears this, he's not offended. I pray that nobody else tries to turn this into some gossip and some foolishness.
Right.
This is a very serious subject. This is a very near and dear subject to my heart because this is my life. My life is involved in trying to help Black people become more healthy. And so I want to talk about it from another perspective. I want to talk to our people. We're the only race where during the pandemic, they had athletes and actors suggesting that we get the Fauci juice. Why would we as Black people, brown people, native people to this country allow somebody who fakes for a living or allow somebody who plays a sport for a living to be a person that gives you medical advice? And so we have to become more scientific as people, as my brother said. When we get into the Nation of Islam, we learn a statement. Islam is mathematics and mathematics is Islam. And I know most Black people have Islam, even the word they misunderstand. The word Muslim, they misunderstand because we don't understand how to look at a word and to decipher that word, understand the meaning of that word. I mean, when I say decipher, where did it come from?
Right.
Because I know if some of our brothers and sisters come across the border from Mexico and they say Dios, we say, oh, that's Mexican. I mean, that's Spanish for God.
Right.
You might be able to get that in here, but why is it that when we say Allah, you can't do the same math?
Come
It's a different language. So we are allowing ourselves to get advice. We're following people because they're popular, right? This is a football player. That don't mean he know nothing except how to play football.
Come on.
That don't mean she know how to do nothing except fake and be another person in the movie and do a good job of it. I'm not knocking. Our people are brilliant. Like I said earlier, any of these industries, when you look at a Will Smith, you look at an Oprah Winfrey, you look at a Denzel Washington, you look at a Taraji P. Henson, these people are brilliant.
Right.
And if they put that type of attention on any other field, they could have been a doctor. They could have gotten their master's and their doctorate in Chinese medicine like our sister here. They could have done these things too. We're not exceptional people because all of us on this panel have degrees. We put our attention to it. It ain't no big deal that I became a doctor. In my eyes, it's what I wanted. And I wasn't going to let nobody and nothing get in the way of it. And that's the way some of them looked at being an actor. That's the way some of them looked at being a professional athlete. But we can't put them on a pedestal and think that we should look at them for life information. You want to be a football player? Holler at Ocho. Holler at Brandon Marshall. But if you're trying to get your nutrition right, this is not the place to be.
That's right. Dr. Joy, what you got?
Yes, sir. Well, I want to firstly thank you, Dr. Akili, for being on the program this evening. This was so much fun. This is a new segment for us, so thank you so much for being a part of this. And just a few things come to mind. Like a lot in person, the famous person of Master Father Muhammad, he said to live a long time. It's taught him that life must begin with the type of food that we eat to prolong life. That's from How to Eat to Live, Book 1, page 9. And to Brother Ocho, if he finds any of these clips or segments or anything, I want to welcome you to every Sunday at 11 o'clock.
Come on now. Come on. Talk heavy. Talk heavy.
To any of the mosques that are near you, because God is in you, God is with you, and God is for you in the person of Master Father Muhammad, with the example and the divine warner, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the Messiah of our midst, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So we invite you every Monday night, your FOI class, learn some more how to eat to live. And we welcome you, brother. So I hope that this clip finds you and finds you at peace, because Islam not only is mathematics, but it is peace when you submit your life to God. And then you will really see your whole career elevate in ways you probably can't even imagine now. So
right. Talk that truth. But just lastly, family, just from my thoughts, this is why we're doing nuclear reactions. For those who are watching, first and foremost, thank you for tuning into the first nuclear reactions that we've ever done. We tried it 2 years ago, and it wasn't really popping like that. But we got it together now. But the point of the nuclear reactions is to shed light on a situation that may be confusing the public in some way. There may be some of the people who are speaking on it may not truly understand exactly what they're talking about. So this is a subject matter that we decided to kind of just really break up and parse so that the community can truly understand what nutrition is all about, how it works, and why our brother is still our brother regardless of how he understands science, right? So first and foremost, again, this is our brother. This is our brother. This is, like Dr. Akili said, do not try to clip this up and break it up to make it seem like we're attacking him, because nothing we really said was an attack. So you can't really pick and choose what words to say to make it seem like, you know, we attacking our brother. But, you know, we want to provide a platform where we can educate our people at the same time without breaking them down or demeaning them, right? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, if you can't teach your brother without tearing him down, you might as well just not even say anything at all.
That's right.
You know, so I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all for coming through, and I appreciate the time you spent on this, because this is an hour and 20 minutes. We usually don't go this far in anything that we do, or this long in anything we do. So I really did enjoy this, and look forward to part 2.
Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir.
All right.
We love you, Ocho.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Absolutely.
All love, family.
Praise be to Allah. All right, family. Thank y'all for tuning in. This has been the first edition of Nuclear Reactions by the STEM Files, the Street Cardiac Jabrilian Engineer, the Chi Mechanic, and of course, Dr. Akili Muhammad of the Ultimate Wellness Group. Peace and blessings, family.
Assalamu alaikum.
You believe in these false prophets, I say I bet he lying. No football, New York City Giants. Girl dad, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. When we teaching our babies, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. Heavy science. When we teaching our women, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. Heavy science.